We know that when we protect our oceans, we're protecting our future. William J. Clinton, r/ask Reddit by Planet Reddit, teachers of Reddit, what's the weirdest thing a student answered to tell me a fun fact about yourself? A guy in my class introduced himself by telling us how he decided he wanted to study philosophy because one day he was really high peeing in the street and he saw a couple of people working and he wondered what they were doing. So he realized his passion was wondering. He dropped out like 2 months later. It's hard to wonder when people tell you what to think. Philosophy is, in most academic settings, complete trash these days. Now, that doesn't mean reading Plato, Descartes, or Foucault is a waste of time, just that the way most universities teach the subject is. They just give you a few crash courses in the history of philosophical thought and expect you to work on memorizing and summarizing rather than interacting. You don't get to interact and examine the readings and hone your own skills because academia has been industrialized. The professors just assign reading after reading, and to get through them all you have to sacrifice deeper understanding. You may be interested in Berkeley and his questions on reality, but hey, you also have to read some Kant and a few pages of Hegel before next class, so get on it. And the worst professors are the ones who believe that they alone understand. Insert overhyped dead white guy here, edit. I reference overhyped dead white guys to emphasize that most academic philosophy courses exclude men who aren't white and women of all races. There's nothing wrong with finding Descartes or Aristotle or Pascal fascinating, but there is something off when no professor's favorite philosopher comes from outside Europe or has 2 X chromosomes, and expect you to graciously accept that same understanding. But in fairness, it is hard to have a discussions a lecture hall with 100+ students. Edit 2. Yes, there are some good academic philosophy programs. I am not shitting on philosophy in general, just the industrialization of the subject in large universities. If you had a good philosophy class/program at your school, then I'm honestly happy for you, and I'm happy that such programs exist. Philosophy is a worthwhile study, and my complaints are that too many courses don't make the subject engaging. That is most lower level undergrad classes, though. You hone your knowledge on your own or in postgraduate degrees. My undergrad philosophy classes had plenty of discussion, benefits of a small school I guess. Philosophy of religion was particularly interesting. My giant state university offered a non-Western philosophy course that focused on women, people of color, and indigenous philosophers. It has super low enrollment, so the discussions were amazing. One of the best courses I've ever taken. We did one of those 2 truths 1 lie bits. Girl stands up and says, "I've never been out of the country. I'm a twin. I love playing sports." I knew this girl beforehand and knew she didn't have a twin, so picked that one. Nope. She had a conjoined twin that died in utero and had to be surgically removed, and she's now missing the last vertebrae on her spine. Showed us the scar and everything. Apparently the lie was the first one, as she'd been to Mexico. I'd have guessed the playing sports one. I'd expect most people who play a sport to say which one. I love playing sports sounds more like she just likes being active and playing various outdoor sports in general, rather than suggesting she's a competitive soccer player or something. Had students, aged 11, sharing strategies for dealing with difficult emotions, one at a time in a big circle. One girl talked about digging her nails into her face whenever she was feeling stressed or anxious, and I had to explain to the class why self-harm was not a good coping strategy. How did you explain it? I didn't go into a lot of detail, how would you? But I said I didn't recommend hurting yourself to help cope with things, because if that became a habit, you'd feel a lot worse in the long run. I said thank you to her for sharing, but asked the next person for a strategy that didn't involve hurting yourself. I like to dig my nails into the face of the kid sitting next to me. A student once told my wife that her daddy had a special device that he had to blow into to start his truck. He's definitely not an alcoholic. To be fair, you don't have to be an alcoholic to get a DUI, and in some states, mine at least, you have to get one of those for minimum 6 months even for a first offense. But yeah, alcoholics are more likely to get DUIs. And also I'm aware that some states wouldn't make you get a breathalyzer until you've had multiple offenses. My dad clogged the toilet this morning, and that's why I'm feeling frustrated minus 5-year-old child. I will say the question was, how are you doing this morning? but I could barely keep from laughing out loud. I have IBS. My toddler once told visiting friends that daddy takes long poops. I mean, I was having a flare-up and had some extended bathroom sessions. But, dang little dude, not cool. I'm terrified / amused about what he might share at school in the near future. Everything. The teacher will know everything. This is why parent-teacher conferences terrify me. My kid will tell his teacher more about my personal business than I tell my therapist. In my psychology class, we were talking about the early signs of serial killers, and the quietest girl who never spoke told the story of when she lived in Chicago. She had a friend around 5th grade who would always stomp on baby birds and once put his hamster in the microwave. Well, his parents were having difficulty keeping up with his antics, so they sent him to his grandmother's, who he promptly stabbed to death when she woke him up for school. So that was interesting. I'm shifting in my chair just thinking of this exchange. I'm sweating uncontrollably thinking of this, but then I did run up 3 flights of stairs twice in the last 10 minutes. I am not a teacher, but this guy in my class named Shane has this medical condition that causes him to grow tons of hair at an early age. Full beard in middle school. He would say I'm Shane and I'm very hairy. He could say my name is Shane, but friends call me Harry. You're a Shane, Harry. You're a Harry, Shane. During French class, a guy in my class said that he liked stabbing children. He meant that he fences, but didn't know the exact translation for that. I love the French class fun facts. In a beginner French class, I had to accidentally come out to the class when I was asked whether I had a spouse. Je suis une lesbienne. It was awkward. J'aime des chats. Je préfère les chats. Good point, I'm not sure why I made them male cats. Also, chat is slang for vagina. That he has been to juvie multiple times and is currently on probation. Then he pulled up his pants enough that everyone could see his ankle monitor. That was something. Then he pulled up his pants. Not actually the worst direction he could have pulled his pants, though. I'd have my hand up a sheep's bum shocked me slightly. Child of a farming family, helping with lambing season. Up the butt? Ha ha! I know they do that to cows to check if they see pregnant. Edit, some people mentioned, it was to impregnate them, not to check if they are pregnant. Edit 2, apparently it is also done to check if they're pregnant. Final edit hopefully, I'm not sure what's right and what's wrong, but just read the replies before replying yourself. Legolas, what do your elf eyes see? Pregnant. A lot of pregnant. My friend is really quiet, he doesn't really talk unless talked to. He's really cool though and has some things he enjoys doing. Literally second year I knew him, the teacher asked this and he said he's a professional bowler with a 300 best, and I was like, why haven't you told me this? That's amazing. I guess it just never came up. Haha. Knew him for a whole year and never knew that. Guess he had a spare fact. He put a pin in it. When I was in my first year at university, my law and society professor made each student get up, say his / her name and tell why they picked law school. Well, a guy got up, said his name, and the professor interrupted him by asking Anon, "Are you related to X?" The guy, "Yes professor, he is my grandfather." Then the professor got excited and started talking about what grade of a guy X is and that he haven't heard of him in years. And the professor asked how he was. Anon replied, "He is dead sir." The whole class was trying to hold the laughter. It pretty much broke the class that first day. At least he said good things about the grandpa instead of calling him an asshat and finding out after he was deceased. So how's the piece of shit doing these days? He's dead sir. Oh, good. Not a teacher, but in 3rd grade, we would do this weekly "how was your weekend" sort of thing where we'd sit in a circle and share. This one girl casually goes, "I found out that my biological father didn't want me," in a super nonchalant tone and everything. I still remember the awkward tension. Way back on the first day of middle school, when asked about their summer, a girl I knew said, "I got kidnapped and almost died." She had been in and out of foster care for the past 3 years. Her dad left her and her mom, which caused her mom to develop schizophrenia. Her mom was in and out of treatment facilities for the next few years, and this girl was placed with a really nice foster family. One day the bio mom just kidnaps the girl and holds her hostage in a squatter's house. This girl had a bad peanut allergy, but her mom still tried to feed her a peanut butter sandwich and she went into anaphylactic shock. I guess after this another squatter called the cops and they got there in time and everything was okay. Dear goodness, thank God she was okay. That's absolutely horrible. How is she doing now? Do you know? Her mom got sent to jail and she was placed permanently with her foster family. I'm not sure if they adopted her. They moved away a year later. This was 15 plus years ago and I really didn't keep in touch, but last I heard she was still doing okay. Student told me that there is a chapter dedicated to him in a dental surgery textbook because of a very rare disorder that he had as a child. I may still have that essay. My brother had something like this. When he was somewhere around 9 or 10 years old, he had to have 12 teeth surgically removed. He just had too many growing too quickly. It was so crazy that the oral surgeon apparently negotiated a deal with my father. The surgeon will completely pay for my brother's surgery, in exchange for taking a couple extra x-rays and lots of photos, to be published in an academic journal of some sort. Reddit coming full circle, teacher of brother meets brother's sibling. You know what, that would be one hell of a coincidence. Not a teacher, but I was a helper in a middle school classroom. A young girl, who seemed uninterested, said, with no hesitation, that she can chug an entire bottle of beer. She got expelled later that year for keeping drugs in her locker. That's sad. I teach ESL and every lesson we start the class by sharing something good that happened to us over the last week or so. Needless to say, kids share the most random things ever. I have many weird stories because of that. We enforce a rule that they need to share good things so they don't start one-upping each other over whose grandma had the worst death lol. One day, a student said, I was riding my bike over the weekend when I fell. I could see where it was going but didn't have enough time to enforce the rule when he just spat out. I fell over a wired fence and cut my neck. It just kept gushing blood. A lot of blood. I reminded him that we were only sharing good news when he said, it's good because I'm still alive. I had a good laugh and agreed, but the damage was done. Every kid after him wanted to share about the most horrific injury they had or witnessed. I was an ESL teacher in Indonesia and a student once told me every morning she cleaned the shit on her bed. I asked her to clarify, worried she had a serious digestive issue. She answered, I brush my teeth, wash face and clean bed shit. Bed sheet. I did the same for a few years and it was great. I remember one class had to make posters of something that meant a lot to them. Most drew pics of their family with mom, dad, sister, brother etc. labeled on them. Some drew their pets or something, some drew BTS, the usual stuff that you'd expect. One kid's paper just had a huge picture of a hand flipping someone off with the word piss, in huge letters across it. I was like, WTF Sai Kira? It took me a moment to realize that she had meant to write peace, but spelt it using phonics from Bahasa. Also had to explain that the peace sign has the palm outwards. Thank you for supporting Planet Reddit. I love you! Subscribe for 3 videos a day.